Okay, I just want to start now. Just want to welcome everybody. Good evening to you all. Just trying to admit all our participants now. They'll be joining us shortly for this live event. And just want to warmly welcome everyone to this wonderful event today. I'm so excited about it. And I'm trusting God that everyone as well is so looking forward to it. Now, myself and my husband, we co-host Relationship Builders Forum. And it's a forum where we talk about everything about love, about sex, and about relationship. And we are just passionate about seeing people make a difference in their relationship. Now, myself, I'm Amara, and this is Gospel. And today we have lovely guests joining us today. Some of them, they are not guests actually. Dr. Wole and his wife are people that we've known through a friend of ours, and we've met severally on different occasions for different events. So I would start by introducing them just so everyone would know who they are. And so yes. So I want to introduce Dr. Wole and Dami Olarimoye. These are a lovely couple, and I just want to say some things about them. They met at the university over 25 years ago and developed a very close relationship, which eventually blossomed into romance. They have been married now for almost 23 years. They don't look it. 23 years, and believe that a strong marriage and family is a bedrock of a good society and nation. They have been actively supporting and mentoring couples for over 12 years and currently serve and minister with the Colossians Family Network, a ministry which organizes programs for couples and families in the UK. Wole is our GP. Now, GP is our general practitioner, so he's a doctor here in the UK, principal and trainer. And Dami is an occupational health and well-being advisor. What a wonderful combination. They are blessed with two lovely daughters. So I just want to say to everyone, I mean, these guys are seasoned, they're well experienced, and I'm also looking forward to learning from them. Now, the second couple that we want to introduce today is Ike and Chime Uchendu. Now, Ike and Chime Uchendu are both been, Chime, first of all, has 12 years of experience working in human resources across different sectors, telcos, consulting, manufacturing, etc., etc. So she's a woman of many shades. She's a serial entrepreneur with passion in financial management, financial empowerment for young people, a premarital and marriage counselor, and has coached many couples through relationship success based on the Word of God. She's involved in an NGO both in corporate and individual capacity aimed at offering employability training to universities to help improve unemployment in Nigeria. A devoted member of the Golden Heart Foundation, dedicated to leadership development, nation building, and transformation by providing trainees of a heart, head, and when you talk about head, she means skills and intellect, while modeling right leadership through mentorship. She's a mother, she's a wife, she's a counselor, she's an avid community builder, people developer, multi-talented resource, and happily married with 3 lovely children. So I'm so expectant. Would I say, unfortunately today, I was so looking forward to her husband joining us as well, but due to some, circumstances beyond them, they are not able to join us today. So I want us to please join me, make welcome our guests today.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Before we kickstart by asking them questions, I know those of us that are already on the platform and those on YouTube watching, I know you have questions you want to ask, and we have some questions we want to ask them as well. But before we go on to do that, I would like you to just drop in the chat box where you're watching from, where are you watching from. It's wonderful to know where you're watching from, and thank you for making our time to be on this event. And obviously, I am confident that anyone here who is single, who is expectant of a life partner, through this event, God would, help you, give you principles, equip you with the right approach and attitude to make that happen. I believe that for you. So the first question we want to ask our panelists today is to, let's even know from them, how did you find each other? Let's start with Dr. Wale and Dami. Maybe we can start with the lady. How did you meet each other? Dami, can you start off, please?
Right. Okay. So I met like from the profile. We met in school. We met when we were in school. Yes, I was doing my midwifery then, and Wale was a medical student, and so we were a member of the same Christian fellowship. And so that was how we initially became friends. And obviously from friendship, it blossomed into the relationship that is now a married relationship. Yeah.
I mean, there's a bit of a prelude to that, because actually what happened was that she had received admission to study her midwifery in another university, but she felt very strongly inclined that she should come over to where we were, where I was. At this time, we hadn't met, we didn't know each other, but she felt very strongly inclined. As you probably know, we're Christians, and she felt that, she should be in Ibadan, which is where we met, rather than be in Lagos. She had no reasoning for it. She had never left Lagos before to study. And when she came over, she felt very strongly that God was saying to her, that it was being impressed on her heart that this is where you will meet somebody who will be your life partner. So it was very interesting that we met in the fellowship, we became friends, and eventually that then blossomed. I think from my perspective, I had seen her. She was somebody that I'd liked. And I was praying, oh God, if you can give me this girl, I'll be very happy. But as we go along, we can give you more details. But that sort of forms a bit of the backdrop to how we met.
Wow, that's really interesting. One striking thing about what you just said is that there's a similarity in terms of how I met my wife, because we've met on campus, we've met in a fellowship, just like you mentioned. Well, it's not about us today. We can't start going into that story. So, Chiume, can you tell us? I know your husband is not here. We would want to know from you, how did you guys meet, please?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, obviously.
Okay. Okay. Ours was, sort of meeting in church as well. That was just after school, after my uni, I had just come to Lagos, and I was serving in the church, and then his sister brought him to church. He was just a church goer at the time, and then he came to church and became committed. And somehow one day he walks up to my friend. I'm like, who is that girl that is always doing stuff in church, arranging everywhere and putting things together? My friend was like, okay, I'll ask her if it's okay for me to give her your number and all that. And that was just it. He got my number, he called me. The first day he called me, he was on the phone for 4 hours. I was just laughing and talking, and my aunt that was just, with me was like, who is this guy? For the last 4 hours, you've been laughing. You have barely said anything, but you have just been laughing, but that was just it. We became friends. We became friends. We courted for a long time. He took me to his parents, and before I knew it, in fact, his parents were the ones that were like, I hope they fixed the road to your place because we are coming this year and all that. And then that's 60 years down the line now.
Praise God.
And we'll be married with 3 kids, a girl and 2 boys.
Wow, what an impressive story you've just told now. I think I picked something from what you said. If I relate it to what Dr. Wale and the wife said as well, you started off as friends, and that friendship moved into marital relationship. That's key. I
Yes,
think we
absolutely.
started off as friends as well, and
Yes.
marriage became a natural transition. Not
Yeah.
like we struggle to, will you marry me? No, who are you? And all of those. So I think for those of you listening, there are things you can pick up from here. Our concept is that marry your friend, even if you didn't marry your friend, make your spouse your best friend. So
Develop friendship. Yeah.
yeah, do you want to ask them any questions?
Yes, one of the questions that we want to ask is, because we have a lot of single people right now on this platform, and one of the pressing questions that they are constantly faced with or bogged down with is, how do you know that he or she is the one? So I heard you, Dr. Wale, when you said you were praying and hoping that, she's going to say yes to you. So how do you find out? Because a lot of people are at this crossroad where they don't really know how to decipher who that the one is. So what kind of things can you share with them, on how they can find out whether he or she is the one?
Right person.
Yes.
Thank
Dr.
you.
Wale.
I think that's an excellent question. So I'll start off from the point you just mentioned. We believe in a friendship first person because they are my friend, but actually that is exactly who you should marry. You should marry somebody who is your friend, somebody who you have that relationship with, somebody that you want to know, and somebody that you have that you can identify with. So that's very important. But coming to your question, how can you know the one? That's not an easy thing. I think from our perspective, we being Christians, we believe in involving God in everything. And we believe in involving, in making sure we spend time in prayer. But there are a few things that I think you should look for, okay? A few things. So one of the things that you need to start off with, and one of our favorite sayings is that the most important thing in a relationship is being the right person. Before you even talk about finding the right person, you need to be the right person. Are you the kind of person another person would want to be with? Are you the kind of person that somebody will say, yes, I want this person as my spouse. I want this person, as my, I want to get married to this person. Because if you're not the kind of person that people want to be with, then it's very difficult for you then to go out there and say, I want to be in a relationship with someone. So for me, the first thing is preparing myself, being the best version of myself. That's the most important thing. But coming to finding the right person, you should have certain things that are important to you, okay? Obviously, the most important thing is the spiritual, but I will come back to that, a bit later. I think finding out what are the things that are most important to you. Let me give an example of my personal life. When I wanted to get married, two main things were important to me. The first is I wanted somebody who saw spiritual things the same way I saw spiritual things. Someone who was mature spiritually, someone who had developed themselves spiritually. That was really important to me because I felt if we were having any issues, we could use the Bible as a reference point. Yeah. We can talk to God about it, and we would be on the same page with that. So that was very important to me. But the second thing that was important to me was I wanted somebody who had cultural duality. What does cultural duality mean? I'm a Black man, but I'm quite westernized in my thinking. But I wanted somebody who could mimic that, who could be as westernized as I am, but also culturally, because there's some very good aspects to our culture, things like honor, things like respect. And I wanted someone who could mirror those two things. And those two things are very important to me. And if I found someone that didn't have those two things, I do not feel there were things I could compromise on. So let me round up by saying make sure that you have certain things, that you understand yourself. Because if you don't understand yourself, you will not know what is important to you. When you know what is important to you, there's certain things you will realize you cannot compromise on. That is the starting point for sifting out the wheat.
Yeah, like I just add to it, you know yourself first. That is the best way to find the right person. You know your own identity. Who am I? If you know who you are and what you are meant to do, then you would be able to kind of know who will fit the kind of calling or what, who the direction you are heading into. So it is important that you have that as well, just in addition to what Wale said. It is important, when I was to choose, or when I was looking, it was also very important for me that the man knows God. Is somebody that is not just somebody that goes to church, somebody that has a good, solid relationship with God themselves, that they know God. And like Wale rightly said, and Bible became a reference point for us. So that everything we did was taken from there. So I wanted that, and I wanted somebody with integrity. So obviously that came with, obviously opening my eyes and actually studying this person and being sure this is who they say they are, and opening my spirit and let God lead me also as well. So it is important that, you know yourself, and then, and then obviously, trusting God to also help you to get the right person.
Oh, okay, just to add to all that, I usually will ask young people, will you marry you?
Yeah.
Where you are, will you marry you? I usually ask them that question. And so it goes back to going back to self-discovery and developing yourself. That person you want to marry, become that person. Develop values for the kingdom, develop character, work on yourself. Then, you guys have all said all that, and then the other part is that there are principles of choosing a life partner. Principles are no respecter of persons. Wherever you are, if you apply principle, gravity, any part of the world is gravity. It gives you the same result. There are principles. When he was saying somebody that has the same spiritual foundation, that's spiritual homogeneity. Someone that if you want to pay tithe, he understands. Someone that if you want to do fasting, he understands what it means. Okay, there are other principles, knowledge of the marriage union. People just get into marriage because they want to start having free sex, legalized sex. Most of the time, that's what is in their head. But that is not it. There's knowledge of the marriage union. If you ask them how many marriage books have you read, they'll be looking at you because they just want to get in there and start enjoying sex. There is divine guidance. How do you know he is the right person? You go to your pastor, you go to your parents, you release them. There's something my people say that it's something that an old man is sitting down that a young man does not see climbing an iroko tree. Seek counsel. Okay, check the family the person is coming from. There are some things you might see, then you run away. It's not about love. You just pick up. Compatibility. There are so many things. Are we compatible socially, physically, and otherwise? Does he have the same purpose, the same vision? Does his vision align with? He can't be going to Lagos and you're going to Ibadan, or he's going to UK. Say he has a plan for Canada, and you don't have that plan at all in any way. You have a ministry and you just enter because you want to get married. You meet frustration, and that's usually in marriages. So those principles are things that everyone needs to check. When the person, after you have maybe seen the person, you need to start checking this and see even men health issues, being sure that both of you are compatible health-wise. Okay, the AS, the AA, and all that, syndrome. You guys are in the medical field, you understand what I'm saying. So these are the things. So after you have the next step is the principle. There are principles that you need to maintain. There are principles you need to make sure you follow, okay, in now choosing the right person. But most important, I'll tell you what happened with me. With my husband, there was just absolute peace. I had the peace that even if I drink Gary with this guy, I'm going to be happy drinking this Gary for the rest of my life. And I had other people, better people, richer people at the time coming. But with this guy, there was just peace, absolute peace. I was not worried about anything. I was not just, and I asked God for specific things, a man of integrity, a man that loves God, and a man of integrity. Those were my two things. And I worked on myself personally to be that same kind of person. I can't lie to even defend myself to save my life, and I wanted that. No matter how bad it is, tell me the truth. No deceit, no lies. I don't know. I think I'm done. I don't know.
I think you've said a lot already. Maybe we can end the program. So I think you brought God into the picture, the equation. So I'm always careful when we bring in God into choosing a life partner, because some people believe all they need to do is pray and let God show them the person. Once God says it is Mr. A or Miss B,
they jump.
Life is okay. They don't have any work to do. And some people are confused about this thing about the will of God. And you said things and you said, God, let God direct, let God lead, and all of those. How will someone who is a Christian who believes he needs to go by the will of God know what the will of God is? How do you know the will of God when it comes to a life partner? Any of you can jump in, please.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Go on, sir. Go on, sir.
No, you go on. You go on. I thought I wanted you to start this time.
Go on, sir, please.
Okay, that's fine. So yes, we were very careful to bring that in as well. But I think it's very difficult to be a Christian and not somehow bring in talking about the will of God. This is my perspective on it. If God knows everything and he knows what is best for me, then he would know who the best person for me is. And the analogy I like to give, which usually when I'm having this discussion with people, the analogy I like to give is this. If there are 3 women in front of me now, one is going to leave me in 5 years, one is going to leave me in 10 years, and one will never leave me and she will love me for the rest of her life. But all of them are singing, praise God, hallelujah today. How do I know the difference? My sister was saying that, there were other guys that were there at the time when she was, thinking about her husband. And the way to know the difference is really by divine guidance. Okay, it's really by divine guidance. Now, remember
Absolutely.
that we're not one of those who say, just go to a mountain, pray, and wait for God to speak. Remember, we started off, and Sister Chime also started off the same way, talking about being the right person, working on yourself, making sure that you are the kind of person that somebody else would want to marry. We've talked about all of that. So there is no escaping that. In fact, I can tell you for a fact, when I was praying about who to get married to, the first thing God ever talked to me about marriage was that you're not even ready yet. That was the first thing I felt impressed on my heart. I was praying, all my friends are getting hooked up. Lord, what about me? I want to get hooked up. And what I felt impressed on my heart was that you're not even ready. And that prompted me to say, okay, fine. I need to prepare myself. I need to be the best version of myself. I need to be someone that another person would want to marry and say, I'm marrying top quality. I said, it is only then I can put myself forward and say, Lord, I want to marry top quality too, because I am top quality. So I've said all of that as a foundation to say there is no replacement for working on yourself. There's also no replacement for keeping your eyes open and saying there are certain qualities I'm looking for in a person. And if the person who I believe God is leading me to marry doesn't have those qualities yet, then let's wait. Let's wait until those things are in place. Now, this is not to say you're going to marry a perfect person, but there's certain things which, like I said, you feel you cannot compromise on. Now, having said all of that, it's important that you seek divine guidance. And how do you do that? It's important to know how the Lord communicates with you. If you know how God communicates with you, and you have tested it. So for example, you have a dream, and you see yourself getting married to this person in a dream, but God has never ever spoken to you in a dream. None of your dreams have ever come to pass. Then it will not make sense to say, oh, God spoke to me in a dream, when you have not proven or tested that way of receiving from the Lord. So I think what I'd like to say on this, and I usually like to round up quickly so that I don't keep on going on, is that understand how the Lord speaks to you. Understand how you get to know the will of God for your life. The person you get married to is the most important decision in your life after your salvation. So it's important that the first time you feel you are hearing something from God or receiving something from God is not when you want to take a decision on marriage. You need to have proven how you receive things from God, and it is then that you can then put that into practice. But that does not negate all the issues that we've talked about: working on yourself, being the best version of yourself, having certain things that you know you cannot compromise on, seeking counsel, asking people to pray with you. None of that can be replaced. All of that is still important.
So I'll just encapsulate all that into one sentence, which is, to develop your develop yourself spiritually. That is the best way, to develop yourself and have a good relationship with God yourself. He is your father. He is your father. My analogy to this is the fact that when I call my children, even if they are like, they're upstairs, I'm downstairs, if I call them, they know my voice. So they will respond. That is mommy calling. So they know they know the way I call them, or they know the way I do things. So even if they're in the crowd and I say something, they know it is me. So you need to know how God speaks to you. And that is the way He's going to speak to you about important things. People think when it comes to marriage, then things has to be in a certain way. No, it will be the way your father deals with you. So it is important, if you want God to lead you, you need to have a relationship, a personal relationship with Him. Know His voice, know His way with you. Because in my own case, if I tell you the story, it's a long one, but the first day I actually came to UCH in Ibadan to get information about starting my midwifery there at that time, was the first time I set my eyes on my husband. Then I didn't know him, obviously. Wow. And as I saw him, because I know the way God speaks to me, God told me, that is your husband, the first time. But obviously, I was so shocked that I had to, the person that was standing beside me said, "Are you okay?" Because they didn't know. I heard it in my spirit. And that is your husband. And I was like, who is this person? Who? God? Who? What? How? When? Because I knew God told me then. Because I gained admission to another school, university, to do the midwifery course. And God said, go to Ibadan and go and do it there. So He gave me that direction. So not knowing what, God told Abraham, you live here and go to this. And not knowing what was going to happen. So exactly the same thing. You need to know the way God speaks to you. So obviously He gave me the instruction to come here. When I then came, He then presented the thing to me. And I'm like, okay, that is the plan? Okay, now, okay. But obviously it took several years for that to then eventually happen, because obviously we became friends and all that. And I just let Him do the work, because He said it and He will do it, because He gave the word. So it is important to know the way God speaks to you. And obviously, even after He has spoken to you, you then need to, like Chimelu said, you then need to, check it. Check it with people, be sure, check it with yourself, even confirm it over and over, and be sure as well. So that is the best way, I would think.
Okay.
Wow.
Chime, is up to you now. Jump in, please.
No, I can't even add anything to what they have said. They've just said it. I mean, he's just said it all. There is nothing to add there. Absolutely right all the way. Okay, like he said, you need to know how God speaks to you. You need to be sensitive. You need to have developed your sensitivity to His leading. Okay, that's at the point. That's why it's important to discover who you are first. So when it gets to the point, you're not emotionally moved. It's not by emotions anymore. It's no longer by it's no longer your emotions, because the emotions are fickle. They're like weather, they can change. Okay, so when you have developed that sensitivity and walk with God, when it gets to that point, it becomes a lot easier for you to make the right choice.
Okay, I've got a question to this. I think someone wrote a question. I'll bring that up after my question. And I'm asking, does God speaking to you about someone and both of you getting married guarantee success in your marriage?
No.
The other side to it is, does getting married to someone that you just checked out, the things about the person is okay, and you feel like both of you can make it and you're willing to work on it. Now, there are two now. One is God spoke to you. The other one, you just found out that I can go with this person. Does that lead to unsuccessful marriage? If you understood my question.
Yes, very much. Sister Chimelu, go first this time.
Okay, so the question you're asking right now, if I get it correctly, is it possible for God to have told you is this person, and then you get married and then it doesn't work out at the end of the day? Is that what you're saying? Is
That's the
that
first
the
side
question?
of the question. Does that guarantee success? The other side is some people just jump into it. They found someone, they feel they are okay with this person, and they go on to get married to the person. Not like head clearly.
So let me go with the first one first. That's you. God gave you the instruction or whatever, the inspiration or guidance, from God, to marry a specific person. Let me even just make this clear, okay? There are many size 40s in the market, right? It's not, we don't have only one size 40 that can fit you.
Yeah.
That's one. Two, that God told you is this person does not guarantee that the marriage is success. What makes your marriage success is what you both do to each other after you are married, how you treat each other, your commitment to each other. That is what makes your marriage successful. Our sister Dami and Oli, they might have had best intention. If he started beating her and treating her, abusing her and all that, with all the best intention, it might not work out.
Yep.
Do you understand?
Absolutely.
So what makes marriage work at the end of the day is how you begin to treat each other, how you begin to understand each other, how you begin to learn each other when you get married. That is what the commitment to the marriage relationship, that is what makes marriage successful. It's not that God told me or that I was led. He can't lead you and then both of you mess things up out of immaturity, out of something, out of peer pressure or something, and then you mess the whole marriage up. Yeah. I think that answers the first one. Can you come again with the second one?
Yeah, the second one is some people just jump into marriage because they feel, I love this guy, I'm happy with the person I'm seeing, and they're ready to work on it. Does that mean because they didn't hear from God or get specific direction from God, does that mean they're not going to succeed in their marriage?
It doesn't mean, but as you make your bed, you lie on it. Okay, if you don't obey those principles and get into marriage because you just feel, people are doing it. You're not people, first of all. If you're a child of God, you make decisions based on being a child of God, on godly principles. Okay, so if you want to get married and say, people are doing it, I will survive, go there and see the world's way of surviving marriage is different from our own way, the kingdom values of surviving marriage. Do you understand? I don't know if the right word to use here, but getting into a marriage and thinking others are doing it, I'm going to get in there, and whatever you see there, you take it. You made your choice. You're an adult. You take it. As you make your bed, rely on it. Do you understand? So there are principles. If you decide to follow them, you're about to have successful marriages. You're following those principles. There are no respect of person. If you decide not to follow principles and just run into marriage anyhow, trust me, you run out of the marriage if you're not careful.
Yeah, thank you very much.
If we can just briefly add to that, I think we believe that hearing from God or receiving from God or getting divine inspiration gives you a head start.
Yeah.
Yes.
But the fact that you start, the fact that you have a head start does not mean you complete the race. Okay. So for example, if we're running 100 meters race, I might start at the 50-meter mark and somebody else is starting right at the beginning. Now, if I don't run, or if I run and I don't run fast, or I don't run well, then I will either not complete the race or not complete the race in time.
Yeah.
So I believe, God inspiring me to connect with someone means that the likelihood is that we have a better chance of making it work. we have a better chance of fulfilling purpose and destiny. We have a better chance of going further, but we still have the work to do. We still have to invest. We still have to love each other. We still have to speak the love languages. We still have to treat each other well. So that it's, I think the direct answer to your question is, you still have the work to do. And for the second side of the question, just like, Chime said, the fact that you decide that you just want to hook up with someone, you've looked at it, you've assessed it, you can have a good marriage. You can. Now, if there is no divine guidance behind it, you may not quite tick all the boxes when it comes to purpose and destiny and things like that. But that doesn't mean you cannot have a good marriage. After all, people who are not believers or people who don't have any divine, some of them have good, long marriages, learn to work together. So that doesn't rule it out. But what we're saying is that if you want as many boxes as possible, then it's best to have divine inspiration as well as putting in the relevant principles.
Brilliant. I always say marriage is like a garden. So if you cultivate it well, you will get the beauty of it. If you don't do the work, then nothing is going to happen. You'll be looking at somebody else's garden and say, that looks so green. If you see a garden that is green, trust me, somebody is intending to work. They are feeding it, they are weeding it, they are doing all the necessary things to water it, planting flower to make it beautiful. It just doesn't grow like that. So it takes a lot of hard work. And I tell people, when you eventually marry, even when it is the will of God, you have the hard work of dying to yourself, to be able to be compatible and get the best out of your relationship, because that is the hard work that people don't know. So it's not a measure of, the Lord has told me. That is, to me, that is 10%. If you want to get 100%, you still have 90% of work to do. And that means a lot of dying to yourself, a lot of commitment, a lot of communication, a lot of discipline that needs to be involved in that. And some unbelievers, like Wale have rightly said, are taking advantage of that. And she mainly talked about the principles. Yeah. If you put the principle in, even if, you get the results, because that is the way things work. Obviously, when it comes to purpose, when it comes to, general fulfillment in some certain areas, you may not get that if the divine guidance is not there. And that is where the scripture is, if the foundation be destroyed, what can the righteous do? So in that case, you may not be able to stretch as much as maybe as you would have if the divine guidance has been included in the journey.
Wow. For the singles out there, as you decide to get married, have at the back of your mind, so much dying to yourself to do. That's part of the principle. And if we explore that today, I think we don't have enough time. Dying to yourself.
I think one of the things that kind of sticks out from what they have said is more or less being intentional. And there was something Dr. Wally said that I kind of picked on. He said, if the first time you can hear from God is when you want to choose a life partner, then there's a problem.
Exactly.
Because, your hearing from God should be as a result of your daily work with him. Exactly. So it shouldn't just come to marriage and that's the only time that you begin to hear from God.
And that's the only time you want to hear from God.
That's the only time you want to hear from God. Exactly. Yeah. So it should be a conscious
natural thing.
Yes.
Yeah. I think before we move on to another question.
There's a question here.
Yeah.
Dr. Wally said he realized he was not ready. Someone is saying, I think along when you were talking about when you met her and how you knew she was supposed to be your life partner, you said you realized that you were not ready. How would a single person know when he or she is ready for marriage?
That's an excellent question. I think, so there are certain things to consider. There are certain obvious things to consider. So if you are, for example, not able to stand on your own 2 feet, or actually, maybe the easiest way is, as we've taken this quite spiritual, why don't let's go back to where everything started in the Garden of Eden. Okay, so the Bible says that God said it is not good for man to be alone. So God had seen something in Adam that made him think, this guy is ready for companionship. This guy is ready for relationship. So that means he had certain things in place. So what was Adam like in the Garden of Eden? Adam was walking in purpose. Adam was being productive. And Adam, had realized who he was and was walking in that line. And so a single can know that they are not ready for marriage if they're not walking down the path of productivity in their life. They're not walking down, they've not yet come to know who they are. They don't really understand about purpose. They don't understand about destiny. They don't really have a direction for their lives. So remember, we said that the most important thing in the relationship is being the right person. So if you've not yet understood who you are or who you are supposed to be, what you're supposed to do, you're not really ready for relationship yet, because you are bringing somebody else in to confusion. You don't really know who you are. You don't know what you should be doing. You don't know where you should be going, but then you are trying to take somebody along with you for a journey that you don't know about yet. And so I think, very importantly, have an idea of where you are. Now we can come to the practical things like, are you able to stand on your own 2 feet? Are you financially independent? We can come to all those things, but I usually like to sort of park my car in the realm of, understanding your divine identity, direction, who you are. And if you don't know those things yet, then you're pretty much not yet ready for a relationship. Because remember, relationship is bringing somebody along with you on a journey, or going along with somebody on a journey. Now, if you don't know where you are going, where are you taking this person to? Or where are you joining this person to? If you're a woman and this guy says, I don't know where I'm going, but let's just go anyway. Or you're a guy and say, well, I don't know where I'm going, but just come along with me anyway. It doesn't look quite right. So I don't know if that answers the question.
Yeah. That answers the question. I'm happy with that. I think the other thing, adding to what you just said, is that people need to get to a point where they've discovered themselves.
Yes.
And they've realized where they're going in life. And once they do that, bringing someone on board becomes easier and it's done with purpose. I want to ask another question, and that is, I think we've touched on that. What are the red flags that when you see them, obviously this is a no-no, despite whether you've heard from God or you're following principles? What are the red flags? Dr. Wale, can you start off, please?
This is an interesting question. So I think let's start off by saying, think about what is important to you. Okay, so I gave my personal example. Having somebody who was spiritually mature was important to me. Having someone who understood about cultural duality was important to me.
Why was it important to you? Okay. That particular one.
That particular one was important to me because, I know I am, and I think I mentioned it earlier on, I'm quite westernized in my thinking, but I also know that I have, family members who may not be as westernized as I am. And I was bringing you into the family, and I wanted you to be able to relate with me and relate with them with ease, without struggling. Because the more compatible we are, the less issues there will be that will cause disruption or discord or anything like that. So that was why that was important to me. So red flags would be anyone that did not line up with anything that was important to me. That was already a red flag. So if I came across somebody who was really drop dead gorgeous, very beautiful, but was not particularly spiritually mature, that would be a red flag. Or I came across somebody who was spiritually mature but didn't really think cultural traditional values were important, or that would be a red flag. But so for me, those were the red flags. But there's some other general principles which I think are red flags, and I'm just going to talk about 3. 1, if somebody is a player, somebody has had serial relationships, constantly jumping from one relationship to another, even if I feel I have heard from God, that would be a red flag. I would need to check things out because there is an element of instability in this person, male or female. Another thing is somebody who is undecided. While they are thinking about me, they're also thinking about somebody else, and they can't really make up their minds. That is a red flag for me, because in future, when we need to take important decisions about our lives and about our children, they will be also undecided. And the third red flag for me, talking about general principles, will be a person who is childish. They're still very dependent on family. They've not really been able to stand on their own 2 feet. That is a red flag, because in future, I would have to be carrying this person along with me in relationship. So those, for me, in addition to the things that are important to me, is what I would consider as red flags. I don't know if you want to.
Yes, I think, I know that you've encapsulated spiritual maturity, but I'll probably just break it down into integrity. Somebody that they don't have integrity, like Chimelu said,
somebody who lies.
Who lies. I mean, and they don't even have they don't have the fear of God. They're not teachable. They don't have somebody, somebody said something, said if you find a man or a woman who doesn't have somebody in their life that can tell them, shut up and sit down, and they listen, then that person is a danger to themselves. So somebody that cannot be controlled or are not teachable, those are some of the red flags that you can, and you will see it as you go along in the relationship. They'll tell you, nobody can talk to me. Nobody talks to me like that. Nobody does it. That you need to be very careful, and don't let love blind you from seeing all these red flags that are just in your face. Because, based on our experience and of counseling couples, they will tell you that they have seen some of these things before they got into the relationship. And you ask them, what did you do about it? Oh, I thought he would change. People never change. So it is important that when you see such red flags, integrity, lying, they are a child, they have to very, very immature in things they do, or very undecided, and you need to be very, very careful and rethink. Even when you have received, you need to open your 2 eyes. I always say to people, love is blind, but marriage will open their eyes. So you need to be careful where you're parking your loop. Yeah.
Wow. Well, love is blind. Marriage is the eye opener. Anyways, Chime, are you there? Oh, we can hear
you.
you.
Hear me?
Yes,
can
we
you
can.
Hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I'll just add one thing to what she said. When someone is abusive, okay, words and action, you just you make excuses for him. Is the family he's coming from, he's going through a hard time. There's no hard time anything there. Run for your life. When they abuse you emotionally, with words, and even physically, don't say it to go away once we settle in. You're not Holy Spirit. You can't change a man. You can only pray for God to change him. You can't change him by saying once we get married, then everything will be fine. Do you understand? So I think that's just what I want to add, to then, deceit and lies. Deceit and lies, they're a big thing, for me. When the person can tell you, I'm here, you can't be sure of where the person is. You can't be sure, I have this, I'm doing this. You're not even sure what he's doing, where his money is coming from. Some people will just say, I'll get to know when we get married and all that. You will not get to know anything. That's why you get into marriage. You find out that he has been borrowing, he has loans that he was using to keep you, and then it's time to pay off loans. So there's no money to do the lavish lifestyle you people were doing. So it's important, to check these things. Ask the Holy Spirit. Like we said, all boils down to having a walk with God. Sometimes I tell people, ask God to expose anything that is not seen. Sometimes they are so blinded by love. I tell them, ask God, don't get emotional. Ask God to expose anything. It looks right, everything is right, but if there's anything that needs to be worked on, ask the Holy Spirit to make it plain to you. Okay, so for me, abuse is a no, anger, and then ability to give. When he's not giving you, even when you people are dating, he can't even, I'm not saying just him giving you, I mean, it's both ways, but when that giving test is not there, there's a likelihood that even in marriage, you guys are going to carry that thing in. Okay, so these are like tests that you need to check, to be able to, I don't know, yeah.
Yeah, just like you've all pointed out, and part of what we believe in is you don't start a relationship from the physical point or the emotional point. You start from the spiritual connection. Find out if you have similar values, if you have compatibility in terms of your character. Can you guys work together? And then the Bible talks about it. Can two work together except they agree? So that agreement, spiritual agreement, is key. When you can't see the character that aligns with what you believe, then is a key red flag. So for the singles out there, don't be blinded by feeling, because feeling will always fluctuate.
Yeah.
Look at how much committed this person is to God, to you, and to the relationship, and what character does this person project. All right. Do you want to go?
No, I think I kind of echo what they have said, because sometimes even in life as individuals, we take a lot of time to research things. So something we're interested in, we want to research those things. We want to get as much information as we can about that thing before we make a decision. But it's just sad to see that a lot of people take relationship very frivolous and, just make a decision based on, how I'm feeling, how it's doing me and that kind of thing. And they don't really take their time to research and, get to know this person that I'm going to be spending like my whole life with. Yeah. So, and it's amazing to know that, even for jobs, people prepare themselves for good jobs. People, go through different interview process just to get us to land that big job. And, to land yourself that life partner, you kind of trivialize it. And, I don't know, it's kind of very...
So I used to say this to people, how you develop skills to be efficient in the workplace, how you develop communication skill, writing skills, emotional intelligence, and all that in the work environment to be able to be effective. It is the same way you develop skills to be able to make your marriage work. Communication skill, those 5 love languages and all that, you develop skills, how to talk, how to talk to your husband, skills on how to be sensitive to when to talk, not when he's in the middle of Champions League, you want to bring up one important discussion, so you need to develop skills that will make your marriage work. But once we get to marriage, we throw away all those things that they teach us to be able to be efficient and effective at the workplace, not knowing that it's the same principle, the same thing you apply it in marriage. And then develop those skills, and then even in the bedroom, everywhere, you develop the skills that will make you effective there. Sorry, I just wanted to throw it in when you were just saying, we forget this thing. To make our marriage successful as well.
Well, indeed. Now, I just want to delve a little bit into something, because again, money is such a big thing. And a lot of people, whether it's in marriage or in business, or anywhere you mention the word money, is always a very controversial issue. Now, for single people, can people get married even when their income is not enough to sustain them? Now, there are a lot of controversies around this, and there's a lot of school of thoughts. Some people think yes, some people think it depends. So what do you think? I want to kind of throw the question to you, Dr. Wale. I'll start with you and then I'll go over to Chime.
That's an excellent question. I think, what is the definition of money is not enough?
Exactly.
And I think that's money is not enough. So I'll give you an example. Many years ago, we had somebody who told us that, she still needed some money to get married. And when we asked her exactly what she needed the money for, she needed some money so that the wedding photographs can be put in Ovation. So for those of us that don't know, Ovation is a Nigerian society magazine where people showcase their marriages or their weddings rather. And so her definition of money was not enough, was, I didn't have enough money to get married and put it in Ovation. Now,
oh my God.
So
exactly.
Misplacement of priority.
Exactly.
Yes, definitely.
So when we say money is not enough, if you're able to sustain yourself, I'm not one of those that believe that before you marry, you must have a house, you must have a car. When we got married, we pretty much had nothing but each other. We had jobs, we were able to, to sustain ourselves financially.
Yeah.
And that was about it. I remember when we first of all came to the UK, we saved up for a whole month to buy a 20-pound blender. 20-pound blender. So we did not have to be going to my sister's house to blend tomatoes and pepper to make stew. Wow. You know, we had to save up money for a month to buy a 20-pound blender. Now, some people will say, well, why did you get married? It was too early to get married. But you know the truth, and we say this, you know, with all sincerity, we are not happier today than we were then. We have more, we can afford more, we can go to places that, you know, we dream about, but we will not say we are happier, because happiness, our true joy was in the fact that we have each other. And that has remained constant. So money is not as important as people are making it out to be. I remember earlier today, I was talking to, as you know, I work as a GP, so I get to know a little bit about the benefit system. There are some people who are paid benefits of, I think it's about some years ago.
Could you shed more light on benefits? Because some of our audience are not UK based. Okay. So they might not understand. Yes.
Thank you. So some people, for example, who don't have jobs are paid or are given some money by the government to keep them away from crime, just to sustain themselves. And I think the lowest rate is about £60 every 2 weeks. I think it has gone up now, but at some point it was about £60 every 2 weeks. Now, some people use that to feed themselves and feed their families, okay? And then you have a couple who are earning a couple of thousands a month and are saying we don't have enough money to get married. So I think it's very important that we define what enough money is. You know, is it that you don't have enough money to throw a society wedding that 1,000 people will attend? Is it that you don't have enough money to throw a wedding where you give everybody a Rolls Royce so that everybody knows that, yes, you are the one that has arrived? Or you don't have enough money so that when you throw your wedding, everybody goes away with a gift? If you have enough money to sustain yourselves and you are mature enough in age, there's nothing wrong with starting off where you are. You know, now, again, I'm not saying that if you don't have any income at all, then just go ahead and get married. No, we don't believe in people getting married and still depending upon their parents or depending upon handouts.
No.
At the same time, we don't believe that you have to have a car, have to have a house, have to have everything under the sun before you get married. So that's where I would stop.
Yeah, I think saying money is not enough is subjective. You need to define what it is to you. You know, when we got married, we didn't even want any crowd. We just wanted to, we know we love each other so much that all we were thinking about is, okay, now we are matured in age and we're ready to start our life. And, you know, it didn't matter too much to us how many people attended the wedding. I remembered when we were going to get married, because we got married in Nigeria. And my pastor's wife, I was very close to her then. She called me and said to me, Dami, two things I'm going to tell you. Your wedding will be grander than somebody else's wedding, okay? And somebody else's wedding will be grander than your wedding. So do it the way you, or what you can afford, and the way you feel, you know, the way you have it.
The way you want it.
The way you want it and what you can afford. And don't bother your head about, oh, when somebody got married, these were the things they did. Because that is what is killing a lot of people. It's not that they don't have that enough, you know, money, or it's just what is going to happen during the wedding ceremony or how much they lavish out. But, you know, my own is, as long as you can sustain yourself, and maybe as you mature, as you then have family, you can, and children, you can sustain them. I think you can start off like that.
And we know people, just to add before we know someone who borrowed thousands of pounds to get married. They had good jobs, but they wanted something really lavish. So they borrowed thousands of pounds to get married. I'm sorry to say, before 1 year was up, while they were still paying off the debt, the marriage fell apart.
Wow.
So it's not so money. Yes, money is important. You know, please don't get me wrong. By God's grace, we're blessed. You know, money is important. But I think sometimes people place too much emphasis on marriage. People have extremely long courtships because they are waiting to amass lots of money so that they can have a very lavish wedding. You dispense thousands of pounds in one day, you know, and then, you know, you start having squabbles about money. That should not be, you know, your marriage is more important than the wedding day. Yeah.
Wow. Yes.
Okay, so I would just add this to everything they've said, which is just like spot on. Like I can't even like you said, there's a couple I know, the same issue, had a lavish wedding, the biggest place you can think of in Lagos at the time. And as we speak, they are not bad. Like you said, 1 year down the road, they squatted in the girl's brother's house for a bit after the lavish wedding. And then, so I usually will tell people, just your wedding dress and the guy's talks and go and do church blessing. You're fine. Wedding is just a few hours. Marriage is for the rest of your life. That money, plan it for your marriage, not for the wedding. Absolutely. If you can get a few witnesses, go to the pastor and all that. If this unrealistic expectation that on my wedding they're going to look like this, I'm going to. These are childish myths. These are childish, ways of thinking. Throw them away. Okay, when it comes to reality, it's not always like that. But come on, if you have the money to have a lavish wedding, by all means, have a lavish wedding. But money shouldn't be. You see my guard and security people getting married.
Yes.
They will come and give you, and you're wondering, our drivers in the office, they are getting married. I'm like, how are these people doing this? But they decided to cut their dress, how do they say it, according to the size of their material. Do you understand? So my money is, for me, is based on perspective. What is enough money? If I give you 1 million, you have 999 problems. That money is not enough. If I give you 500,000, you have 450 naira issues. The money won't be enough. So what exactly is enough money to get married? Do you understand? So for me, it's for the couples to sit down. What is our priority? What's the plan? Okay, we don't even have enough as it is. Can we do just church blessing, bring our immediate families, and then can we start planning of our future? How are we going to do rent? How do we make more money? How do we start? As long as both of you have prospects and you're determined, you can achieve it. Yes. Okay, you don't have to have all the millions to start. You don't at all. It's commitment to each other. Have a plan. Sit down, plan it. Okay, we don't have. Can we do church blessing? Can you throw away this fantasy? Can we do this? Once there is agreement and communication and everybody's on board, the sky is your limit. You don't need. There's nothing like enough money. There's never enough money. If I give you 100 billion now, by tomorrow, you start thinking. By the time you finish buying houses, buying jets, the 100 billion is not enough anymore.
Exactly.
Wow, that's really brilliant. I just want to say to singles out there, especially the guys, please, because they are saying those who are already in a relationship, they are looking at money as a limitation. But there are guys who do not want to make the step. They don't want to propose to someone because they feel they don't have so much money, to do the things that are related to wedding and marriage. Please take this step. Don't wait until you are comfortable, in quotes, before you make that move.
Yeah.
We were not comfortable. And I'm sure with what Dr. Wole said, he wasn't comfortable, in quotes.
Yeah.
It's a journey you start together. When you walk your way to the top, you'll be happy. He said something about his happiness not being determined by where they are in life now.
Yes. He said they're not happier now than they used to be.
I know. Yes. And I can say to you that even when we were friends, we were not married. We are not happier now than then. Yeah. And at that point, we are still students. Yeah. So it doesn't really change so much as long as the constant is there, which is the relationship you have, your friendship, those things that keep you together, not money. Thank you for your point.
I think there's something they pointed out, which a lot of singles will also need to glean from, and it's all about priority. So what's the priority of the relationship? Is the priority of the relationship to kind of please friends, families, or is the priority about you two in that relationship and what the future that you have together, or the future that you want to build together? Because I think that is where the priority should lie.
Yes.
Now, a lot of singles are very quiet. I see a lot of singles on our platform, and right now they've gone really quiet because a lot of us say, "Oh, you've been doing a lot about married people. Now we need something for ourselves, guys. This is a time for you guys to talk. So ask questions, speak, and let's have this conversation. It's not a monologue, it's a conversation. So please
keep the questions coming. I want to ask a question based on their experience. As a young person going into marriage, you might tell yourself, all I need is love. You see people sing this, all you need is love, 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 and all of those. Is love really enough to sustain, to start and sustain a relationship? A marriage? Is love enough?
Well, let me just
this time, please.
yeah. So love attracts. Love is a bait to bring you guys together, okay? But it is not enough to make the marriage work, okay? Love is the bait, is that thing that has to be there. I mean, there has to be something that is making you feel like I like this person a lot and all that, but that's the bait, that's the attraction, that's the first thing that brings you together. Okay. What keeps you together at the end of the day is friendship, commitment. That is what sustains the marriage at the end of the day. I mean, there might be other things, but these are just the, basics. Okay. But love is not enough. Definitely. Trust me. It's not enough. You can love someone and you're abusive. You can love someone and all that, but it is a bait. It is what brings both of you together. And then it's now commitment to the marriage, friendship, and all those other things, toppings you add on it that will now make the marriage work. I mean,
fantastic.
Okay. Dr. Wale, you want to jump in?
Yes, just to add to that. So I think the question I would have asked, or I wanted to ask, is what is the definition of love?
Yeah.
So, if the definition of love is, that woozy feeling, anytime I see her, I'm like somebody, anytime I see her, I get butterflies. I get yeah. Then that is, I refer to that as emotion. Okay, emotional type of love. That goes up, it comes down, it goes up, it comes down.
Yeah.
It cannot sustain a relationship. But if that person's definition of love is commitment, is dedication, then that type of love, like Chime said, that type of love can sustain a relationship. So it's not based on, how I feel. It's based on a decision I have taken. If we're talking about the type of love in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, or the type of love where agape love, or the type of love where for God so loved the world that he gave, or the type of love where the Bible says, husbands, love your wives like Christ loved the church. That type of love is a commitment type of love, a dedicated type of love, a type of love that is not moved by what is happening. That is the type of love that we're talking about, that you can say, yes, that type of love can sustain a relationship. But the emotional love on its own is not enough. Plus, I like to see marriage as like a wedding cake. There are lots of ingredients, so yes, the flour, the love might be the flour that holds things together, but for the cake to be really nice, you've got to have all the other bits in it, the sugar, the butter, the eggs, the icing, so the full package is made up of a lot more than the flour, but the flour is really important. So that would be what I would say, and I'm likening love to the flower. It might form the main part of it, and I'm talking about real proper love, not just the emotional frivolity of, oh yes, I'm getting butterflies. It might form the main part of it, but all the other ingredients are important. You throw in the communication, you throw in the understanding, you throw in the love languages, you throw in the the commitment, you throw in the fact that I love you as I love myself. So all of that is required to have a sound, healthy marriage.
Wow. Obviously, what you are saying is love is the primary ingredient that the primary ingredient that is the baseline for the relationship. And then there are other things you have to add-ons, the add-ons. And those add-ons are important, like communication. You have to build competence, to make it work. Fine, that's brilliant. I think Dr. Wale was saying something before, and you said long-term relationship. Sorry, I thought the question is about long-term relationship, but someone is asking, what advice can you give for someone planning on going into distant relationship? I think I have to throw this open to any of the panelists. What advice can you give to someone who intends going into
a long distance relationship?
Distant relationship, long distance relationship. That's how you put it.
Okay, so let me just you need to know yourself. Okay, you need to know who you are and the kind of person you are to be able to know if you can handle long distance relationships. Okay, they are, I can't say they are bad, I can't say they are good. Okay, because the person that you see every day, you hardly even know the person. Not to talk of someone you're getting to know the person is based on what the person has told you. Okay, so yeah, so for me, you need to know yourself and know if you can handle it. All the calls and all the FaceTime and not being where, just so many things with regards to that. So you need to know yourself and know if you can really handle it. If you can really handle all the issues and riddles that come with it, then fine, go on with it. But personally, me, my kind of person, I can't do long distance relationship. In fact, since we got married, if my husband leaves, travels for work for 2 weeks, it's as if I can't, like, not because of him, but just not having him in the house is a problem. It's so because we are so used to being so, whenever he travels for work, just 1 week, I'm already feeling like he should start coming back now, Abby. Like it looks like 1 week is like 1 year to me. But I have friends that they do, their husbands are work in the rigs, and from day one they do 3 months and then they come back and they are living and surviving and they're happy. Do you understand? So yeah, so for people dating, you need to know yourself, you need to understand yourself. If you can handle it, then it's okay. But if you can't handle it, I always say that the person you see every day, you hardly know the person. Not to talk of the person that you don't see every day, you can't really say exactly is his word against yours in everything. So I mean, that's just my take on it. I might be.
No. It's interesting, Chime, because on the one hand, you said that you don't think they're good or bad. And on the other hand, you then said, actually, you can't do it. And the person that you are with every day.
That's me. I can.
Basically, you are saying it's not a good idea. The truth is this. The truth is this. It's not recommended. I'm going to be upfront. I used to be very politically correct about it and say, well, it depends on what the couple want and all that. But unfortunately, we have seen too many instances of things going wrong. Too many instances. They are apart, and then before you know it, somebody's involved with somebody else. And we're talking about Christians. So we don't recommend it. Now, I know that sometimes it's inevitable. So we spent some time apart. When we got married in Nigeria, we got married in the March, and in the June, we already knew that I was going to travel abroad to sort of pave the way, and then Dami was going to come and join me. So it was part of the plan, but we knew that there was a time limit. We had said, it was going to be a maximum of 6 months, and it was something that we wanted to do because we were moving our lives across. But a long-term situation in which your life is sort of built around living apart is not ideal, exactly for the reason that Chime mentioned. The person that you are living with on a day-to-day basis, you are getting to know the person. Talk less of someone that you spend a couple of days every few months together, or you spend a month and then you are apart for a long time. It's not ideal. You can make it work if you absolutely have no other alternative, but it's not ideal. And unfortunately, we have seen too many instances where things have gone wrong. So we tend not to recommend it. All attempts possible should be made to make sure that you are spending time together. The idea behind getting married is to have that constant fellowship. You didn't get married because you want to be FaceTiming or be speaking on the phone. You got married because you want to spend time together. You want to be around each other. So we would recommend it's avoided unless it's completely inevitable. And even when you have to do it, work towards making sure that you then come out of it.
Yeah, quickly. Yeah. I mean, for those who are not married yet, and you embarking into a relationship, like Chimelu said, it's challenging. You don't even, how would you know this person that you don't see? You know them virtually, so they will remain a virtual person to you for a long time. Even the one that you see regularly, that I mean, face to face while you're courting, you know, there are still things that you have to iron out to be sure that what he said or how he said it or this and that, you know, are still challenging. How much more the person that, you know, from the word go at the beginning of this relationship, you have not even had time to I mean, together. It is like Chimelu said, I can't do it. I don't know if it is unavoidable. Pray about it. You know yourself. Pray about it. But you know, it is not recommended. And then for those that are also married, and like Wale said, as much as possible, try and find a way to shorten that and minimize spending time apart. I'm similar to Chimelu. My husband is a doctor. For the period when he was doing his training and he had to be doing night shift, oh my God, I was always like, God, I don't want this one to go on night shift because I just want my husband around. So now that he's a full-time GP for many years, my life is done. 9 to 5, we're home. Everybody's happy. That is me. You know yourself too. And it is important. It just enhances the relationship when you're there together to do things together. So as much as possible, fair enough. We're not saying you should choke each other. You don't have time apart and all that. No, there should be time. I mean, work will call that you occasionally, I mean, that he goes and be on call and something like that. Yes, there should be time, but it shouldn't be something that it is constant.
So it doesn't even mean it doesn't mean that you know, like she's rightly said, you know, you want to choke each other. It's just that mental thing that he's around. I might not even be in the same room with him or something. Just the fact that you are around, even if I'm not seeing you, it's okay. Do you understand? So it's just knowing yourself, knowing the kind of person you are, and then knowing, can I handle this? Will I be able to? And can I cope with all the issues and all that comes with it? If not,
I have a follow-up question on this. Because, you know, the situation we find ourselves right now, again, you know, they are the millennials now.
COVID thing.
Not just the COVID, the fact that people are now, young people are now more into the social media and they're more like social media savvy and things like that. Now, what are your thoughts on dating apps? Because that's what I see a lot of young people. I mean, Christian dating apps, not the, you know, the nominal ones, because there are Christian dating apps out there, and the young people are saying, okay, we want to engage with these apps because we think that it would help us find the one. And again, this ties into the question around distance. So what do you think? Because this is more
virtual. It also ties to the question someone is asking: if singles are encouraged to step out to meet others, and we are discouraging them from meeting those who are not in the same place with them, what
should they do? So I would start with Dr. Wale, and then Chime can come in, please.
So very good question again. I think, so we're not discouraging people from connecting with people who are not in the same place, but let's think practically, okay? If I live in London and you live in Glasgow and we start a relationship, how practical is that? Okay, when we then get married, where are we going to live? You know, so the idea is you need to find a way of reconciliation. We want to become friends, you know. I remember many years ago, we used to have what we call pen pals, where you write to somebody abroad and the person replies to you, you know, you get to know each other through letters, and that's okay, but you know, you're not able to develop a real friendship. The problem with dating virtually is that, you know, you don't really get to know the person. You only know what you are told. You only know what is put forth. You can do a lot of acting, you know, anytime you are coming on screen, you put on your best behavior, you only, you know, show the persona or the part of you you want them to see. Thank you, dear. The part of you that you want them to see. And so it's not very real. Now, if, however, you meet on a dating app, okay, and then you start to spend time together, then that might be acceptable. So I'm not knocking dating apps. We know somebody who, you know, engaged the dating app and is currently married to her husband, and they got to know through the dating and they are doing well. So I'm not going to say it's a complete no. Life is very busy these days. A lot of people go to very small churches. They may not be, you know, you may not meet somebody in your church, and so you get to meet somebody on a dating app. that's fine. You can start off on the dating app, but that relationship must very quickly become more face-to-face and physical. So I'm not going to knock dating apps completely. I won't say they're a complete no-no. People connect through social media. We get jobs through social media, LinkedIn and things like that. So there's no reason why you cannot get to know somebody through social media, but that knowledge must quickly leave the virtual and become more interactive, because that's the only way you can really get to know someone. And so those are my thoughts.
And that will feed back into what we said at the beginning about what was I trying to say? About, even when you have heard from God, there's a lot of things that you need to do that
to check things out. Yeah.
So it's not a measure of, I know I have this is it. And, because there's still work to be done. It's not only just connecting alone, so this work cannot be done. I know technology has really increased and we're into so many things now, but that fundamental connection, contact still needs to be there to kind of support that relationship. Otherwise, you will find that when you eventually marry, you are marrying somebody you don't know.
Yeah. And I remember we talked about friendship first approach.
Exactly.
How can you truly be friends with someone that you only know virtually? It's difficult.
It remains a virtual relationship.
Yeah. So you can start off, you can get to know the person virtually, but very quickly, for a proper friendship to develop, there needs to be interaction. And so that's the caution with dating apps. Plus, like we said, very often people put out their profiles which are not real. So I think while we will not say no completely, we think, yes, maybe get to know the person, but very quickly bring that into the real world.
And even be very, very sensitive with that. Make sure you are sure of what you're getting yourself into. Into some of those, I'm not knocking it, that is not good, because like we said, there are good people there and people with good intentions, but be clear and be sensitive as a person and let God lead you in those regards as well.
Great.
Yeah, thank you.
Chime, are you there? Do you want to shed something as well?
No, they've said it all. The truth is that you can't remove the human factor at the end of the day, no matter how much we love technology. No matter how much we love it, you can't remove the human factor. And when remember we're talking about marriage and relationship here. So, but they said it all. So, but you can't remove the human factor. Like you said, meet the person online, but the physical part of knowing, getting to see the person and all that, has to happen. I have a friend that they met, chatted, everything. All the pictures were so lovely.
Oh, she's breaking off.
We lost her. Okay,
I
think.
Yes, we can hear you now. We lost you for a bit.
You for about 10 seconds.
Yeah, the pictures were lovely. Then we couldn't hear you again.
Oh, so and then by the time they met physically, the guy had a bad leg. So all the pictures were.
Oh gosh, she's gone again.
Yeah.
I think it's hard.
Yes, you're back again.
So I think that is it. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. But we can't see you.
Oh, okay. So I was saying that I had a friend that they met online. They were all having it. Can you hear me?
Yeah, carry on.
Yes. So, and by the time they met, she found out that the guy had a bad leg. So he was posting pictures, looking lovely, all sorts of pictures and all that. And by the time they met, and she was like, oh my God, how girls are with pictures, we met, blah, blah. And by the time she met the guy, she was like, I can't, I won't, never. But before then, it was all goody, all nice stories, all nice everything. And until she met the person physically and the story changed. This was almost after 9 months of wasted time and data and everything. So we can't remove the human factor, no matter what, no matter how much we say we love technology.
Okay, let me ask a question. We have a question on the chat, and I'll direct that to Chime. It says, what do you do in a situation where conversation with someone at an early stage. Okay, you are in a conversation with someone at an early stage. However, the person have bombarded you with non-stop financial demand.
So who is bombarding who? Lady, guy? Okay, anyway, either way, okay, so so whoever is bombarding the other person, if you're friends, I don't think there's anything wrong with, helping a friend. I don't know what you mean by bombarding. It could be, I don't understand that question. Okay, when you say the person is bombarding you, I don't understand it. If you're friends with someone and there is a need, it shouldn't be an issue for you to help the person out. Where you can't help, just say, right now I'm unable to, or can I give you £10 since you need 20? Can I give you 5? It shouldn't be an issue if it's a friend, you guys are friends. So when you say bombard, is it that you feel, is it because I want to marry you, now want to kill me with your needs? So I don't understand do you understand? So I don't get the question what the person actually means here. But if you're friends with someone and there's a need is the person has, you shouldn't start seeing it as you're killing me with your needs. And like I always say, if it's the lady bombarding the guy, the same brain God gave the guy, he gave you. Don't go and start behaving as if you don't have brains. The same school the guy went is what you went to. So you need to develop yourself to be able to make money too, to be able to sustain yourself and not become a liability. The Bible says that he that finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor. You're carrying favor and blessing into the man, not him feeling already, this girl wants to kill me with all her problems. You're becoming a liability. And no man wants a liability, truth be told.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay, so that's why I'm saying I don't know what the guy means by bombarding me already. As he said, I will marry, and then suddenly the girl does a list of all the things the guy has to do every month or something. I don't get the question. Okay, but if you're a girl or a lady and you're looking to get married, see, that's what makes men not even propose to you. They will run away. Okay, these days and age, men are looking for people that are working too, and you as a lady, don't be a liability. Be a blessing going to happen in a man's life. If he decides not to marry you, it's going to be his loss, not the other way around. You're not being about to be rescued in one. No, go there to bring blessing, bring value into the man's life. And then both of you will now chase they said two shall chase, one shall chase 1,000, two shall chase 10,000. So both of you will now start chasing it. Okay, wow. But if you're in that place of his knight is shining armor will rescue me, come on, the guy is looking for who will rescue him too.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Chime. I think she has answered the question. Even though she said she didn't understand this question, she has answered the question. Yeah. So I think everyone should come with a sense of independence.
Yeah.
Not just financial independence, but mentally, you're not going into marriage to be dependent on your spouse. Yes. So whether it's a guy or a lady, maybe for the person who is being bombarded, understand the situation. It could be that this person has a need and you can solve a problem. And for the person bombarding, you should also know that you're not going into marriage to become a liability.
Yeah.
You are there to provide solution.
Yeah.
Our time is fast spent and we have loads of questions to ask. So let me ask this. What are the things that singles can do to position themselves to be found or to find a life partner? A lot of people are struggling to find someone or to be found. What can they do to make that happen? Okay, I'll go.
Dr. Wale.
Dr. Wale, can you?
And wife, yeah.
Thank you. So I think, so what can a single do to position themselves? I think all the things that we have talked about, really, this is probably a good summary question. So what can you do? So number one, be the best version of yourself. Yeah. Okay, that's very, very important because I think, to use Chime's words, be somebody that you yourself would want to marry. you know, so be the best version of yourself. I think is the first thing. The second thing is, you know, make yourself available. Be a friendly person. If you're a recluse or somebody who is always looking down in the dumps, you won't attract people. But have a lively personality, be friendly, be a good conversationalist, you know, interact with people. Those are some of the things that you can do to position yourself. We talked about dating apps. There's nothing wrong with, you know, getting to meet people through that, if that's your means of meeting people. But like we said, quickly make sure that those friendships, you know, become or leave the virtual realm and become more into the proper realm, so to say, because you need to develop friendship, you know. So those are some of the things, you know. Have lots of friends, be a very friendly person, have lots of friends, because it's in the place of friendship that you then realize that certain, you know, you start to feel like, you know, you're inclined towards someone. Maybe I should let you tell a story.
And then develop yourself. Develop yourself. Don't just sit down there waiting, oh, this I would be discovered. Do something you like. Adam was in the garden. He was doing something. Develop yourself, get your hands dirty, you know. You know, don't just how will I put it, be stagnant. Emotionally develop yourself, spiritually develop yourself, and then physically dress properly. You know, they say the way you dress is the way you will be addressed. You will attract your own. Dress, if you want people that will honor and respect you, then do the same. Dress properly. You let people see you that you know you are a decent person as well, and then position yourself. You know, if you know, position yourself. If you know practically, look at Ruth in the Bible. I mean, she knew what she wanted and she went for it. It's not that she. I mean, there's nothing, well, we didn't even ask those kind of questions today, but at least position yourself for you to be seen as well.
Why not tell your story, Anne?
Yes, after I had, obviously the Lord had told me about Wale and all that. And there was a time after I had finished his training as a medical student, then he moved to another hospital and he moved away from me, but we were still very, very good friends. You know, I could have said, oh, well, he's gone and gone forever. Obviously, I took some time out with myself and my friend. We just decided, and then we visited. So position, and he knew that, okay, this sister is still here, and he's still, you know, without even saying anything, he knew that, okay, this person is, for them to have come to see me, is actually interested in me, you know, in having a relationship. And from there is, you know, he kind of opened up, you know, the idea again with the Lord, and the Lord then eventually spoke to him. So it is important. So those are some of the practical things you could do. You know, enjoy your life, position yourself, develop yourself, be friendly, dress properly, and all that. Yeah.
Sorry, before we move to Chime, I want to add an addendum to this question, which you wanted to touch. Now you're saying position yourself. Do you think a lady can also make that move, not just find a way to suggest to a man that, what are you doing? I'm here.
Yes.
Absolutely. So absolutely. So in our situation, we had become very good friends, and like she said, I moved away. I was working in a different hospital, and she came to come and visit me in that hospital. This was probably about an hour and a half bus ride from where she was. Now, you don't just do that for everyone. You do that for somebody that you really like and you really value their friendship. And because of our age, it was obvious that she was saying, look, you know, I'm available. Now, she didn't come out and say, Wale, let us get married. So we're not saying propose, or we're not saying, but make it clear that you are available. Make it clear that you are interested. You know, if the person doesn't see things the same way, fine, you haven't lost something, you haven't lost anything. But if the person does see it the same way, then that can move things along.
Can support, enhance.
There's nothing wrong with making yourself available.
We have a story in the Bible that did that.
Yeah, Ruth.
Ruth did it, Rebecca did it. in the sense that when the servants of, is it Isaac?
Yeah, the servants of Abraham.
Abraham, for Isaac, she could have said, no, I don't know this guy. I'm not going to follow. I'm not going to follow you. But she followed them. And obviously, is a measure of positioning that, yes, I will be glad to make myself available. Ruth did this. I'm not saying that you do it in a way that
cheapens yourself.
Exactly.
Absolutely
No,
not.
I'm not saying that. But let them, especially when you are convinced about it, about that relationship, then position yourself. Don't make yourself hard to get. There is no need for that.
That's the key word. Go on.
Thank you very much. I want Chime. Oh, yes.
Yes. Okay, so I will just add this to this. Okay, so you find out that, I've counseled a lot of single people, and you've done all the positioning, and the guy's personality, he won't just stop. So I will tell them, use style and say, uncle, please, we're women, you've been coming around, we've been friends for a while. Where are we going to with this? There's a way to put it. There's a way to say it. Okay, there's a way to package the words. Just to, is there any, we've been here together for 9 months with each other, beautiful friendship. Is there any plan for us? What are we doing? You don't understand, just throw it in. After you have positioned and Sasha, then the guy is not saying anything. Ask the question, And sometimes it's you're not being forward. If you ask me, you're just being, you need to know where you stand.
Exactly.
You have a plan for your life. You have vision. You can't be running around me and blocking all the other guys from seeing me.
Very good.
You're not saying anything. Do you understand? So, guy, what are we doing? How far now?
That's very good. That's very good. I like that. I really like that, because one of our young couples did something like that. The guy was calling, and so she said, why do you keep calling me? What are you calling me for? What is the purpose of your phone call? You
Exactly.
call me, you are calling me all the time. So the guy said,
where are we going with this?
He said, where are we going with this phone call? He said, look, I like you, okay. And this is your liking me. What are we doing with the liking?
With the likeness.
So eventually the guy said, okay, yes, I'm not just here to play. I am thinking about relationship. I'd like us to, so it's I think she positioned herself, because the thing is this: if the guy is a time waster, if the guy says, oh, I'm not doing anything, I'm just here because I see you as a friend. Okay, my friend, I don't want you to waste my time. You are blocking the road. You are blocking the road for other people. The way you keep coming here, everybody thinks you are the one. But if you're not the one, my friend, move aside. Let other people. So it's very important that you define your friendships and relationships. Make it clear, where are we going with this? So really, Chime, I really like that. That's a really nice contribution.
Yeah, it is indeed. Thank you very much, Chime and Dr. Wole and Dami. I would say that we've okay. Before I go on to wrap up, do you have any final words? So from both of you and Dami and then Chime, if you have any final words for our attendees, please do share.
We've said I think we pretty much said most of what we want to say.
Okay.
It's the spiritual is very important. Be the best version of yourself. Be a friendly person. Friendship first approach. So I think I'm going to break it down into steps or principles or points you can count. I would say the spiritual is very important. Seek divine guidance. Being the best version of yourself, number 2, is very important. Number 3, friendship first approach. So make sure you develop friendship as a basis for relationship. Number 4, be aware of red flags, and if any of your own red flags or general red flags pop up, then back out. Even if you think you have heard from God, cool it down, slow it down until those red flags are properly resolved. And number 5, enjoy the process. It's not meant to be something that frustrates you or kills you. Enjoy the process. Don't get too desperate. Position yourself, whether you're male or you're female. Make it known that you are somebody with a marriage mentality, not just a friendship, not just a dating mentality. And people who are marriage inclined tend to be drawn to each other, So I think those would be my final thoughts.
When we started, I think Chime talked about the principles These are some of the principles, and God is a God of principle. So if you follow those principles, like we know there is the law of gravity, it's likely to work for you when you follow those principles that, some of which Wale just highlighted, and then also if you need to invest into understanding about relationship. If you're at this stage, they are still single, invest. I mean, when we started, we talked about when we have in our career, we tend to develop ourselves, expand our mind, go for training, get as much training, get as much exposure, and things like this, that is being done on this platform. Expose yourself, avail yourself of all these opportunity, and develop.
Sorry. Thank you so very much. Chime, please, any final words, please? Chime, are you there?
I think she's...
Chime? I think I can still see her, but don't know if she's still in the meeting. Okay, I just want to take out this very opportunity. I hope she still comes back. I think we've lost her somehow. I can't get any voice from her. Hopefully she's going to join in. But I just want to say thank you to everyone. First of all, thank you to our guests, Dr. Wale and Dami. I know how busy you two are, and to make out your weekend just to spend time, talking to all of our attendees, we do value it. It's much appreciated. Thank you so very much. And also Chime and her husband, who was not able to join, but I'm sure she did justice to all the questions that has been posed to her. So thank you so much for coming here. Chime, are you there now? Are you there? If you have any final words, we lost you at some point. Chime? Okay, she's coming, but she's gone again. I can still see some movement, but I can't hear any sound. Okay. Just to say, this conversation that we've had today, some of you might want to kind of go back and listen to it again. Like I said, when we started off, we co-host on Relationship Builders Forum, myself and my husband, Gospel. And we do quite a lot. We are so passionate about, talking about love, sex, and relationship. And please, we just encourage you guys, to engage with us. This conversation is ongoing, and it's something that we always want people to kind of chime into and, talk about and engage with what we are talking about. Because together, we become stronger, we kind of share values, and we share nuggets that move our life forward. So I encourage that you guys please engage with our channel, Relationship Builders Forum on YouTube. Okay, and I just want to say thank you so very much. I don't know if any of our attendees want to say something. Please,
sorry. I think my network has been bad. I think I lost everybody at some point.
Okay, that's fine.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
we can hear you.
Okay, please, I just want to say something, please, just to the single people, okay? Like Dami them said, okay, you need to develop yourself and discover yourself, okay? Don't be a liability, be a blessing going to happen in somebody's life, both the male and the female, okay? And then for the married people, before you get married, just make up your mind to forgive ahead of time. Think of the worst that can happen. Marriage is a selfless relationship. You carry this the life of the spirit into the marriage. Make up your mind. No matter what happens, I'm going to forgive this guy. I'm going to forgive this woman. With that mentality, as you get into marriage, a lot of things becomes easier. All the other toppings, communication, and everything becomes a lot easier. Okay, and that's just what I wanted to add to everything. I'm so sorry.
Thank you so much, Chime, for your contribution and for your final word. We want to say to our participants, if you have anything to say, a word of appreciation for our panelists, this is your time, this is your opportunity. We can unmute you, and then you can...
If anything, if you